Hi everyone, welcome back to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is our Three Devils and a Gooner segment, but yeah, as you can see, we've got way more than Three Devils and a Gooner today. We've got loads of people, so we're just going to call it the Arsenal and United show. Fuck it. I'm too tired to bring up all this shite. Anyway, I've got with me today Ames, Will, Greg, Jen, and Reese in the corner. How is everyone today?
Good. Not too bad. Quite glad there's no football on.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's a little bit of a de-stress at the weekend, especially where United's concerned. Obviously, we've kind of secured second now, so we can kind of concentrate on the Europa League final. Ames, How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm all right. A bit tired, but it's nearly Friday, and nearly the weekend, so be grand.
Yeah, I'm finished work now for 11 days, so I'm buzzing. And
so jealous.
After this, I'm getting on the beer, so I can't wait. Cannot wait. I wanted to first start with, obviously, United, just because I can. And I wanted to speak about the two games that we have played since we've been on. So the Fulham and the Liverpool game. Two not very great games, in my opinion. The Liverpool game hurt massively. I know it was kind of a nothing game, but it's not a nothing game against your rivals. So that kind of hurt. But in the grand scheme of things, we've secured second now. Ames, what do you make of the two games as a whole?
Yeah, look, I think, especially with the Liverpool game, I think with it being such a big rivalry, it hit us hard, to be honest, because obviously when we're playing Liverpool, we want to go out and beat Liverpool. So Liverpool probably did need it more than we did, because they're obviously trying to fight for Champions League spot, but we also wanted to secure second place. So, and again, with it being Liverpool, I think we definitely, I don't know about the rest of you lads, but I was very disheartened after it, because obviously beating Liverpool is obviously something we want to see every game. But again, with Fulham game, obviously we needed 2 points to secure second place. So it was a bit annoying that we went out there and we got the draw against Fulham when we should actually be beating Fulham, and it's just a bit worrying now coming into the Europa League final that we're not playing too great, so we kind of have to play ourselves into form now against Wolves as well, which isn't going to be great. But look, with Chelsea beating Leicester the other night, that's second place secured, so hopefully we can rest a few players against Wolves.
Yeah, 100%. Reese, what did you make of the two games?
Pretty much the exact same. It wasn't particularly great performance. Obviously, I get the point of it was a nothing game, but still, it's against Liverpool. You don't want to lose that game. I thought we started very well. I've said on a previous show with yourselves, I was shocked that we scored in the first 15 minutes. I didn't expect us to score so early. I thought it would be about half an hour in. But it was such a bright start, and I was like, this is a good way to go. We should build on this. But after that, we basically turned into Arsenal. Like, we were, to say it nicely, we were absolutely terrible. But you know what? See the Fulham game. I'm not even overly concerned, because it was about getting the fans back in. It was about how the fans would have enjoyed the game. First half, we started very well. We controlled the game. The second half, it wasn't particularly poor. It was a tale of two halves. But we can only go based on what we saw. But the one that mattered to me was Liverpool, because purely it's the biggest game in football. I didn't want to lose that game. Unfortunately, we did. But the Fulham game, it was about just seeing the fans, and our atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. Hearing it on the streams and all that, it's what you want to hear. But other than that, there's not much else you can really comment on.
It really was amazing, and to be there was just something special. I remember feeling really like, you know me guys, I'm a bit of a sensitive soul at the best of times. So when they were walking out and like everyone was clapping, and like I said to my partner Andy, I was standing next to me, and like I started getting a bit like, like emotional, and he was just like, for fuck's sake. And I was just like, it was so good to be back. And like when they started walking out and they were like warming up, and you just thought, hopefully now we can get back to doing what we do best. and being there, and hopefully all stadiums can now, get back to being at full capacity, because that's what it's all about. I mean, the banner at Old Trafford says that, football is nothing without fans, and it's not, because the fans make it. Yes, the team plays it and they earn it, but the fans are what make football. And as we've seen over the past 14 months, it's been shit without them. It's not been the same. So to have them back there was great. And to hear the old chants and hearing "you scouse bastard" when the ref makes a bad decision, you don't hear that at home. And it's kind of, when a player makes an interception or like a block, and you sit there in the stadium and you clap. You don't do that at home, because that's just weird. But that's just the whole kind of aura of being at the game, like getting behind the players rather than slating them online. It's just something that I found really liberating, because I didn't have time to check Twitter. I was traveling home from the game, eating dinner when I got home, and then by the time I was like checking Twitter, it was like bedtime, and I was completely fucking over it. Like, it was just such a good release. Greg, what did you make of both of the games, and how good was it to see fans back?
Yeah, I think weirdly I was more bothered about the result of the Fulham game than I was the Liverpool game. I said that in the chat, that people have to make it make sense to me, because obviously you should be more upset about losing to your rivals. But I feel like there were so many little caveats with that Liverpool game. The fact that it was our third game in 5 days, the fact that obviously Liverpool had to win it, we really didn't have to. It was all about building momentum to try and for next Wednesday. So I wasn't greatly bothered about the Liverpool result. We didn't play great. We started out well and then sort of capitulated. Players looked tired, sort of what you expected. But the Fulham game was a bit disappointing. But I think it wasn't really the performance that was disappointing. It's just the fact that we couldn't quite get that final ball for the second goal once we'd scored the first one. And we just missed in that little bit of quality, and we don't really have an excuse to miss that with the team that we put out, because the team was really strong. But I thought overall the performance was fine. I thought the performance has been very similar to any sort of performance that United have dropped points this season. Just been a case of not being able to get the final ball, or just that little bit of luck waiting. Because there's very few times that Man United have actually got beat this season while being absolutely awful and being really poor. Or really drop points. And Palace stands out right at the start of the season. Both games actually, the draw and the loss right at the start of the season. Obviously, the 6-1 to Spurs, we weren't terrific against Arsenal, but that was one penalty away from being one of the dullest 0-0s of the season. And yeah, it just, I agree with Amy. We've got to build momentum going into Wednesday. I think we need Maguire back more than anyone. Like, I genuinely think Bruno could miss this final and we've got more chance of winning it than if Maguire does it. Because if Maguire doesn't play, we're in serious trouble. Like that, the whole defence just looks all at sea without Maguire there. And I've said it all week in the chat that he's by far our most. He's been missing so much, just to sort of lead that defence a little bit more. But there was obviously photos of him tonight being around at Ferguson's documentary launch. He's walking around without crutches, without the moon boot on. So we'll sort of see what happens to that. But the fact there was fans back in Old Trafford just made it. Well, that was what was making me think, yeah, we'll win this. And especially when we went 1-0 up with that goal, how contentious it was. I don't really care. It was a great goal. And then, yeah, just to not get the win for the fans that were still there, I thought it was good for Ollie to speak to the fans and everything at the end. I'm assuming you stayed for that, Rach, yeah. Yeah. No, it looked good. It looked like, and I think Ollie was right in his post-match as well, that the players were just trying the fancy flicks and the long shots and the superstar pass, which is definitely what they were doing, because you watch the game back and that's exactly what happened. Just a lack of concentration, but you could sort of forgive them for it. And we're going to get second, like that's confirmed, because Chelsea beat Leicester. So yeah, not an awful week overall, but we need to win on Wednesday, like more than any result in the last 5 years.
100%. I would say it's our biggest game of the season by far, especially after going out of the Champions League like we did. We need a trophy, and Ollie needs a trophy just to get people off his back, for fuck's sake. Like, I'm sick and tired of the debate of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and whether he's good enough or whether he's not. We all know that he needs to improve. There's areas of his game he needs to improve on. But doesn't everyone? Like, you can't all be freaking Klopp or Pep Guardiola or whatever. But
at the end of the day, he was going into this job and he wasn't experienced, and they knew that. Everyone knew that. So he has to learn on the job. Now, I know it's probably taken a bit longer than people please or people are happy about, but there is progression there. Like, he's gotten rid of the deadwood. Like, obviously he pushed for the signing of Bruno as well last season, which also pushed us on another bit further. So I think if we fill the positions that we need to fill, like a defensive midfielder, which is 100% priority at the moment, we could see massive improvements next season. But by all means, like, his man management is very good, but obviously his in-game management needs to improve. But it's going to come.
Yeah,
I think it's gotten better this season as the season's gone on. I think playing Pogba on the left's a masterstroke for him. Get Pogba more involved. You don't have to rely on him defensively. Put him out on the left, and he's been absolutely brilliant. If someone said at the start of the season that Oles going to end up playing Pogba at left wing, he'd have been laughed at. And Pogba's played at left wing, and he's been absolutely brilliant. Like, I think he is getting better, and he is getting there with these substitutions and things like that. They are a bit samey, but I feel like that's just the players he trusts. Like, he trusts Matic. And players like that to come on. So, he is definitely getting better. His in-game management's gotten so much better, even from sort of the Leipzig game all the way through to just the last couple of weeks.
No, I completely agree. Moving on to Arsenal, obviously you guys are hitting a bit of good form now, which is great, but is it a little bit too late? Obviously. The last two games, obviously, since we've been on,
Sorry, can I just say something?
Go on.
We have had a really good time on this podcast where we respect each other's views and we talk really well and we don't slag each other off. So this evening already, Amy and Reece have both made snide remarks about Arsenal. Why is that? Why? Because we've won our two games and because you haven't?
But we're
I call it friendly banter. It's my way of saying hello.
No, well, that isn't, to me, that's just trying to be bitchy. So listen, enjoy your night, and I'll see you another time.
Will?
Okay.
Fair enough.
You've won your last two games. Obviously, Chelsea was a big win, and also Palace was a good win as well. What do you reckon of the form going in to the last game of the season?
To be honest, right, it's been okay. The Chelsea game was, it was they were both two very different games.
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
Which you can tell. Yeah. The Chelsea game, we set up very strong, very defensively. We matched them with 5 at the back. And we were hoping more so to stay out, try and get a little goal, which we did get lucky. But we made our own luck through Odegaard pressing onto Jorginho, who then was just clueless passing towards goal, which, as a footballer, you never do. You should always pass to either side of the goal. But he just made that mistake, and fair fucks. Kepa still made a good save. We still had to put it into the back of the net. Aubameyang was switched on to get the rebound, cut it back, and Emile Smith-Rowe was there to finish it, no matter how badly it was. The finish, how scrappy it was. If it goes into the net, it's a goal, and that's a good goal. With the Palace game, I was relatively happy with how we set up in the first half. We were finding plenty of space, especially Pepe out on the right wing, more so through Zaha not actually tracking back. He wasn't really doing his job, and he was getting the space. He got a very good goal. We were playing very much down the right, and then the one time we go down the left, it was a combination with Tierney and Saka, and Pepe, because he was free, gets into the middle and gets a good goal. After the second half, then they started to press up on us a lot more higher up the pitch. They came up with more intensity, and to be honest, our midfield was quite overrun, and they started to dominate the second half all the way up until about the 71st minute when they got the equaliser goal through Benteke. And that was a bit of a nightmare. Arteta made his changes, took off Thomas Partey, who wasn't actually able to handle the kind of the physicality, unfortunately, in this game coming the second half. It was strange. He wasn't having the best of games. And that we were losing that midfield battle, so you're losing control of the game. So we made the change. He brought on Odegaard moved him into the 10, took off Saka, brought on Xhaka and someone else. And the substitutions for once kind of, despite always being late, which I know we always complain about, and I know you've always complained about through Ollie, late substitutions is a bloody nightmare. You'd rather him come on around the 65th minute, give him a good half an hour to get into it, than like the 75th minute, and you've got 15 minutes, and then boom, it's added time, and they've got barely any time in. But just the change into the system, we got the midfield battle back, and Martinelli just ran off the back of the defender, a quick lapse and a good goal. And then Pepe just sealed it off with another good goal in the third. But even before that, Palace should have been down to 10 men, if not 9 men. That tackle by Schlupp was the exact same tackle that Aubameyang did on McCarthy last season and got sent off for.
That's
and
the problem. There's no
the other one with Benteke, what's probably more infuriating is if that happened to, say, Fernandes or another player like that, they would have gone down and clutched in their face. Whether or not I think that's play acting or wrong, it's probably right, because you're saying, yeah, he hit me in the jaw, he hit me in the face, I go down, it's hurt. That's not allowed, send him off. But because he was stayed on his feet, he just gets yellow, which is clueless.
I think that's the thing with players nowadays. I mean, you saw it with I think there was an instance where Phil Foden was running into the box earlier in the season, and if he would have went down, it would have been a stonewall penalty, but he stayed on his feet and got nothing for it. I think that's the kind of misconception and the thought process that goes through players' heads with, obviously, we don't want play acting in the game, but if you don't go down or you don't react to it, you're not going to get anything for it, even when it's justified that you should. So it's one of those things that, yes, if you go down, you get it, but if you don't, you don't. So it's one of those things that you have to think about whether the player goes down or not. But I completely agree. And I do think it was 2 good games, but unfortunately, it just does look like it's come just a little bit too late this season, because you went through that
come a bit too late. The most that we can do really is the European Conference League. I have my own opinions on that, which is uncommon to everyone else, to the fact that I'd actually like us to qualify for it, because I think it gives the youngsters a chance to actually get more game time, and they can stay with us rather than go on loan to another team and actually play the way we want to play. You look at Saka and Smith Rowe, they got game time in the Europa League, and now they're come through into our Premier League team. And the Europa League is where they got their experience. If we don't have that, we don't have a competition. And I see some fans saying, oh no, we don't want it. It's almost like they act like we're too good for the Conference League, which is utterly ridiculous, and it's just really annoying. I'd be delighted if we get it, and if we don't, then those first 14 games cost us.
I think everyone's got to start somewhere, right? You've got to get your blood and your new talent from somewhere. And if you don't bred them in the lesser games, like the early stages of the cups or like this new Conference League, then you're not going to see what they're all about. And you can't just throw them into a Premier League game, because it might be too much for them at that point, and then they'll flop, and then you'll never see what they're really about. So, I mean, yes, the Conference League, it's a bit, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but for that reason, I mean, why not just go for it? If you're in it, you've got to go for it. That's what I think. I think people said that about the Europa League as well. Like, people said it when we got knocked out of the Champions League, that, oh, I don't care about the Europa League, play the kids, do this, do that. But I think that was just the emotions at the time. The Europa League is still a European competition. Yes, it's not the Champions League where United should be, but it's still a European competition, and it's still a trophy at the end of the day. So I think you've just got to go for everything you're in. It doesn't matter where you start or where you finish. Just go for whatever you're in. If you get a trophy at the end, fair fucks. William, are you excited to see fans back at the Emirates?
Yeah, I honestly think, I know the Emirates gets a lot of slack and say, oh, there's no atmosphere, there's no this, no that. You look at our home record this season without it. We've lost 7 games without fans at home. It's had a clear effect. The one game that we played with fans was in the Europa League, and you're going to take the piss. Like, of course, it's against Dundalk. You'd expect us to hit 3-4. But that was one of our best performances with the youngsters coming in. I remember Lacazette scoring a long-range screamer. I remember Elneny scoring a long-range screamer. They were just a lot more free-flowing, and it was just... it definitely lifted us on that day. And honestly, I think on whatever day, Sunday at like 4:00, it'll lift us up again, and I think you'll see a better performance. Still not as good as probably what we aspire to be, but I think you'll see a decent performance and a good result by us.
Yeah.
How close do you think you are, William? Like from being back in like a top 4? Because I think you're 5 players, 4 maybe 4.
Yeah, it's give or take, right?
Because Willock's yours, and I reckon Willock should get game time when he comes back.
I think he should, but I think he gets sold. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think Willock's going to get sold. I think Newcastle stump up the money to have a good enough bid that we'll actually sell him. And whether or not that's a mistake, I think it might be. He was our top goal scorer in the group stage of the Europa League. He was getting goals, just not in the Premier League. He's a good quality player. He's kind of what we're missing. That kind of number 8 and that goal scoring midfielder. Like I put up the tweet the other day. Joe Willock has scored more goals for Newcastle than all of Arsenal's midfield, which included Joe Willock.
That's like crazy. It's insane. But some people thrive on a different club. Maybe he's just not right for Arsenal. It's like Lingard with United.
Thing, like, you can be is he just a big fish in a little pond there, and then when he comes to us, he's just a little fish in a little pond? I mean, you look at Lingard at West Ham, you look at other people that go on loan, it's just like, is that his level? But it's taking that risk on whether you sell him or whether you keep him and trust him to be the next level. And only the management knows that.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
Yeah. Obviously, moving on to the last game at the weekend for us, United, we've got Wolves. We all know when we play Wolves, it's shit.
Fucking hate it.
Yeah, everyone knows it's probably going to be a 0-0 or a shitty little 1-0 or 1-1 or something. But I don't know what it is about playing Wolves, but it's just so boring. It's just boring.
Weird.
I'm hoping to see a few fresh faces. Amy, do you think we should rotate completely or give players that are going to play in the final minutes under their belt to obviously stay fresh and stay on their game for the final? Or would you just prefer it if we gave them the week's rest and then just go in straight for the final?
That is a hard one. I do want to see rotation, but at the same time, we're not playing well and we do need to play ourselves into form. But the last thing we need, especially with injuries to Maguire, McTominay and Fred, the last thing we're going to need is injuries to Shaw, Pogba, Bruno, Cavani, any of them. So it is a hard one. Now, I do think it's a sticky one with Matic because Matic doesn't get much game time, but it looks like he will have to play Europa League final. So do you give him minutes at the weekend? Yeah, do you give him minutes at the weekend to try and give him a run, or do you not? Because
I think maybe give him maybe half an hour or so. If you bring him on at 60 minutes, so then he's at least got a little bit of steam under his belt, and he can kind of play his way back into it. Because I mean, we've seen when Matic comes on, when he's trying to control the game, he's very good at it. Because he sits there and reads the game, and when he comes on, he knows how to control it himself.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not quick. Yes, he's not agile. Yes, he makes mistakes. He's old. He's slow, but he knows how to control the game. So I think maybe 30 minutes to 20 minutes at the end of the Wolves game, just to pick him up a little bit before, if he is to play the final. Reese, what do you think? Do you think we should play the kids or play the lads who are going to play the final?
I would say a mix of both. Yeah. There's still a chance that we can go this season unbeaten. Away from home, there's still a chance. Frankly, I don't care about that record. Mm-hmm. I honestly do not care about that record. I only care about winning the Europa League. I only want a trophy. Like if that record led to us winning the league title, I'd have been happy to go and take it. But it doesn't really bother me. But it'd be good to at least have it there saying, "Oh, we've actually managed to achieve this feat as well. We've done it. We've went the whole season unbeaten away from home."
Yeah.
But we still need certain players that are going to need to be fit for the final. We're going to need some sharpness there. there's a chance we may need to use fringe players depending on injuries, so they're going to have to play as well. Like midfield, like potentially a few forward players, they need to play because anything could happen in the final as well. We've been in that situation before. That it's going to need to be managed effectively. I would go bit half and half, like a few strong players in there, a few fringes, and have a couple of the youth academy kids in there. Just that balance it out. And I would use Henderson in goal for this game. I wouldn't use De Gea. I want De Gea in the final.
Cool. Greg, do you not agree?
I want the best keeper in the final.
Yeah, I want De Gea in the final as well, but I played De Gea in the last game for momentum and for him to be match sharp and match ready, because Wolves theoretically shouldn't get a lot of chances, and we're hoping that's exactly how Villarreal will be as well. We should be ball dominant against Villarreal, and it should be then sort of picking on scraps ideally. So I feel like De Gea does better in that situation. I just feel like what you want a keeper to be in that match form, and De Gea's been good the last few games, so just keep him in. Just don't mess with it, because it's highly unlikely De Gea's going to get injured. So whatever you can risk without sort of risking injury or anything like that, then you keep the same. Plus, we've got the away record to look after, and I don't care what anyone says. All he wants that record to beat the Invincibles. 100%, he wants that record. So it'll be I wouldn't be surprised to see Bruno play. I wouldn't be surprised to see Shaw play. But then also I think there'll be players like Van de Beek will play. I think Martial will come back in. I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Shoretire or Hannibal or someone like that come in. But I think with goalkeeping situations, you just keep De Gea in, and you just get Henderson. Like, this isn't you yet. It can be, but it's not yet. It's De Gea, and De Gea's earned it, to be fair.
He has. The past few games, I think he has massively earned it, especially that Europa League semi-final. He was
ridiculous.
He put down one of his best performances in a Man United shirt that night, because he was saving everything. What's that quote?
Made a couple the other night as well. Made a couple stops.
Yeah,
against Fulham, like double saves and stuff like that. That just, you don't get that from Henderson, and because they're different types of keepers and things like that. Maybe you were saying maybe on the goal, maybe Henderson comes out and catches it, but like, there's not a lot that sort of could have been done. But I think De Gea will play. I think Shaw will play. I think there'll be important players that just get minutes in their legs, because even though it's Sunday, Wednesday, they might not play the full game, but they're going to want them to be match fit and match sharp. And players, I think I always said earlier in the season, players play a little bit better when they're slightly tired, or a little bit tired that they've played, and because they've got the minutes in their legs rather than just sitting. I don't think we get anything out of Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, Cavani, Shaw, all of them sitting on the bench. All we do is get beat by Wolves and be at a disadvantage going to Villarreal. So it'll be a mixed up squad, but I think De Gea should play and goal.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think I would like to see De Gea finish this and hopefully walk away from it with a trophy, because if he is to leave in the summer, then I would like him to finish his United career on a high with a trophy. And
he deserves it.
He deserves the world. God bless him. Will, I've got a question for you here. Do you think Nicola Pepe has been unfairly criticised and judged based on what he's done this season for the club?
It's my sister, by the way. So.
Oh. Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Mrs. Chambers. You'll probably say that's your mother then.
That is my mom.
It's an awkward one. I think Pepe has been a little bit unfairly criticised, but I've said it before. I think he's been the definition of Arsenal, just inconsistent. He can be world class one week, he can be very poor the next week, and I think he gets criticised more than others. Yes, because of his price tag. But you also look at it, we expect just that little bit more. We've seen the levels he can reach, and we just want him to constantly push on. Look, honestly, I can be a bit hard on Pepe, even against Palace. Yeah. He's got his weaknesses, he's got his strengths. I wish he would work on, and I'm not even sure if it's fully something you can work on, I wish he could work on just having his yard of pace and to take on people going down the line. Because we know how skillful and how good he is with his skills and tricks, basically, and his footwork is very good. but he can never seem to just run past the man down the line to give him the space to do something. It's always him having to cut back or cut inside. It's just, if he could get that area of his game, he would take it up to the next level and become a very good player. Is he worth 72 million? No. Is it his fault we paid that much for him? No. Is he better than Zaha, who we were going to buy in that season? I think you've seen last night. Yeah. He's completely outperformed him this season. And last season, he actually quite outperformed him. So am I happy we got him instead of Zaha? Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, players' price tags isn't their fault. We've seen it with Maguire as well. Maguire is a top centre-back, but people give him stick, and rightly so. I have as well. I'm not excluding myself from that. Because of his price tag, is he worth 80 million? Absolutely not. I'd probably say 60 at best. But that's not the player's fault. That's the clubs and the ownership for paying that much.
It's just inflated market.
Exactly. It's stupid. Keir says as well, I can never say his name, Saliba and Gabriel partnership for next season. What do you think about that?
I think it should be, and I think Saliba will be our top choice right centre-back. Do I think he starts the season with that partnership? No. For some reason, I think at the very start of the season, he's going to start with Rob Holding and Gabriel in the centre-backs, which I don't like that partnership, but I think he's going to have Saliba on the bench just to kind of warm him into the Premier League. Whether or not I think that's right, I think he should just get thrown in, but it just seems to be his way of management that he doesn't want to throw him straight in, which is fair. It's a different way of looking at it, but hopefully he then gets his chance in like the Carabao Cup, he gets his chances in the FA Cup, and then once the injury comes, because it will come into our centre-back, into one of them, he'll come in and then he just has to hit the ground run.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I mean, you guys have got Brighton at the weekend, haven't you? So, I mean, it's one of those games, isn't it, that you never really know what's going to happen, because prime Brighton Barcelona could show up. Are you nervous for the weekend?
Honestly, I'm not. I don't think we're nervous in this household at all, really. I think we've looked at this up. We never are. We try to be pretty positive at times in terms of results, despite how bad it can be at times, but we get through it. Honestly, I think we go out and win. And I've made the mad enough prediction on Super 6 to say 4-1. I honestly think it's going to be one of the best performances of the season for us, because the last game of the season is always a game that we go out and we just, for some reason, we play brilliantly on the attack and get you lots of goals. I remember last year we relegated Watford winning 3-2. We went 3-0 up inside the first half and then had a nightmare at the back. That sounds familiar. But it's just one of those, I think, they will score a goal. And if I'm predicting anyone, it'll be Danny Welbeck, because of course it will. Him scoring against old clubs is pretty common, and he's played for us both and we've seen it. But I just think things will start to click, and things have started to click, because it's the first time under Arteta, which is sickening stat, that we've won 4 games in a row. It's the first time since he's taken over. And if we can make it 5, then it's good, it's progress. But it's about actually taking this progress into next season. We usually do well at the ends of the next season, and then at the start we stumble to a huge stalter at the very beginning. We need to actually take this and push on. We need to get a few players out and getting 4 or 5 players in, which I'm sure that question comes up later, the one that Greg asked me, isn't it? About how far we are off top 4. That was like 0.5 or 6. I'll get on to that later, but look, I think we'll do well against Brighton. Last time we played them, we only beat them 1-0, but we beat them away. It was the game after the Chelsea game. Lacazette came on and he got a goal. I don't see that happening on Sunday. I don't see him playing again for Arsenal, but I'm confident enough into the Brighton game. And the fans will just kick us on.
Good. Yeah. Hopefully a strong end to the season for you guys. I wanted to quickly come on to this comment from Jay. United's recent form was worrying me. I just hope and pray that the team convincingly beats Wolves, so the players have the confidence a few days ahead of the final. The final is a must-win game. I think we've alluded to it before. We need a strong mentality going into that final. But I throw it back to 2017. when we won the Europa League. We were on a 6-game. We hadn't won in 6 games leading up to the final. So it's not the be all and end all. And I know that Europa League final was awful to watch because it was horrible, I think, just because of the form going in. But United do their best work when their backs are up against the wall, in my opinion. When everyone doubts them, I think that's when we do our best work. So I do want us to
it's that
obviously
mental
go
block,
there.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is, definitely.
That
And I
mental block
think
of being over the semi-final, like that's where Man United will lose it. It won't be like we could play well, but like mentally, I think the players are going to be so switched on that like. I said at half time of the Roma game. Yeah, the Roma game when we were 2-1 down in the first leg.
mm-hmm.
I remember, and I said, always team talk will be one thing. It'll be, do you want to be the team that lost 5 semi-finals?
Mm-hmm.
And any player with anything about them that's got any sort of, just anything about them that believes in their ability and the belief of that team, picked up 2 years and we hammered them. And that I can't imagine Ole will need to say a lot to them to get fired up for Wednesday. Because these players know every one of these players needs a trophy. Because Bruno aside, everyone in that team now is one of the reasons that we lost so many semi-finals over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So everyone in that team needs a trophy. More than Ole. I would say Maguire probably needs one. I would say Pogba needs one.
Yeah.
Like another one. I know he won a World Cup, but just to justify staying at Man United. Rashford, obviously. To justify sort of his way of kicking on. There's a lot of players in that need a trophy to sort of have their feelings justified and their actions justified, maybe minus Bruno.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think by the way the recent performances have been going, I think all of those players, their minds are fully on the final. Reece, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you think that the reason why our performances have been a bit lackluster and a bit just flat have been because they've all got eyes on the final?
I do actually, and in my personal opinion, I think it's wrong. I don't think you should have your mind so far ahead of the situation at hand. If you think so far ahead, you're going to end up playing yourself into a situation that you can't get out of. And it's great that we're in a final. It's great that it's going to be against a strong team, so it'll be decided in moments. But if there's one thing I honestly believe is you do not get yourself in a situation in your mind where you're ahead of where you are. If you keep yourself out of the moment, it could backfire. And there's been games where it's been decided by moments. We really do need to be aware of the situation. Like that's why Wolves, like even though Wolves is a bit of a shit game, like it's a bit of a meaningless game, they've still been a bit of a bogey team for us in like situations where dross games, but they seem to always turn up when it matters against us, even if it's like a draw. They know how to neutralise us really well. But if you look at where we go in terms from here, I still think we will win the final. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be like into extra time. I think it's going to be a very long night.
Oh no, I'm not down for that. No.
Nah.
I only think it is because of the fact that I don't want to go extra time. I just think it might happen. But that's the thing about these finals is like they'll be decided in moments, and it will be a crucial moment that'll decide the game. And I'm hoping it's something unexpected, like I don't know, a Luke Shaw goal from 45 yards. But
imagine.
I'd like to just spank them, to be honest. Like forget all the closeness.
If we do, we do. If we do, we do. Will we? Probably not. Yeah, we are.
I'd love us to go out there with the mentality. I don't want any of this fucking second half C shit because I'm sick and tired.
I want us to dominate from the first minute. I want from get-go to the end. I'm sick of the whole second half.
Technically, it hasn't been that good when you've gone 1-0 up when you look at Liverpool and Fulham recently. So.
Yeah, we are reactionary FC. Like it's like regardless of the circumstance, that's what we are. Like we react. Yeah. We're not a very proactive team. Like there's 2 games that stand out that I am not going to repeat because frankly my head will go into a sense of frustration where we've scored first and we've ended up on the losing side, so I'm not going to repeat them. But that's football. That's football for you. It comes in moments. You've just got to handle the situation. Do I think we're going to win the Europa League? Yes, but do I think we should be heads on the final? No. We should be in the moment rather than head into the future.
Ames, do you agree?
I do and I don't. Like, I understand where he's coming from, because I feel like if we were in, like, say there was like a point between second and third place, and we actually did want to fight for second place, you know, we would have had to focus on that game and not focus so far ahead. So in that sense, I do and I don't. But look, I suppose we were lucky that we were that few points ahead in second place anyway. But I do think they do have to focus on the game that's coming next rather than the game that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously, biggest game, Ollie needs a trophy. But I think, say, like, for instance, we did need 2 points against Fulham to secure second place, and we got a point. But say Leicester were closer to us, we would have had to win that game, because otherwise, if Leicester had beaten Chelsea that time, Leicester would have went second. So I do agree with Reece in the sense that we do need to focus on the game that's coming next rather than the game that's coming up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, look, I think we were in a comfortable position in the league, to be honest. And yeah, I can see why their heads would be so far at the Premier League or the Europa League, because obviously it's a game they need to win. How long has it been since we've seen a trophy? They're going to want a trophy. So yeah, I agree and disagree in that sense. But yeah, I know where
this is where the experienced players need to show their value. Like, the experienced players really need to turn up more. Like, right now,
we don't have out and out like winners with experience. We've got Matic and we've got Pogba are probably the two out and out experienced winners. Like, it's a young. Like, I think that's why this team's better, because it's not people we're resting on. Oh, it's fine. I've done this all before. Like what Di Maria was, like what Falcao was, like what Lukaku was, like what Alexis said. Like, yeah, okay, you've done it all before, but you need to do it again. And I think that's why this team's better. And the second half FC stuff, like I think I said last week, that I think it's 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10, Man United go down at half time having been the better side, and it's just like one bit of lack of concentration, and they get punished. And it seems like the Tottenham game was. We should have had a goal that was then stupidly chalked off, and then Son ran up the pitch and scored. Like, just things like that. If that happens on Wednesday, isn't it? If that happens on Wednesday, like, I feel like
it could be game over.
I just feel like the players. Nah, I don't think it would be, like, because the players have that.
Not immediate.
Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think they'll come out of the blocks as quick as possible. I think it'll be cagey to start with, and then it'll be a case of picking them apart while being on the ball. That's why I think Maguire's got to play, because if we get caught on the counter, I'd rather have Maguire like on the halfway line to just take a yellow card or just something to stop, just because his possession is so much better than any other centre back we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be so intense. I couldn't take extra time. Like, extra time, I think I'd be like bouncing off the ceiling.
Yeah, no, I agree. Keane's got a question for you, William. From the outside looking in, what do you think, because you've played both sides? So what are your thoughts on Villarreal? Where can we kind of hit them? You know, what do you think?
Oh.
Are you muted?
You're mute.
Wait. Thank you. Action. No, look, we had plenty of chances in our time when we played them. We should have probably put one of them into the net.
Mm-hmm.
If I was United, just go out, attack them. You should get an early goal. They will try and just sit back and kind of take it and just take you out of the game, make you just kind of play it nonchalantly, not try and attack them properly, even though it's a final. Get through like the first half an hour and try and drag you into their game is what I feel like.
Yeah.
They have a few experienced midfielders, don't get me wrong, but you've got the way better team. When I'm looking at the team, right, it's ignore the back line. Maguire will be a massive miss. You've already seen that since he's come out, that you haven't been firing as much, and people joke saying, "Oh, how can a centre back change the form of your team? Just look at Liverpool without Van Dijk."
Yeah.
Not as big a difference as Maguire with Man United, but kind of is at the start. But look, I think United should go out and attack it. If I was doing it, I'd play. I wouldn't even play Matic. I'd play Pogba next to Fred, or Pogba next to Matic, and then you'd have Bruno in the 10, Rashford on the left, put Greenwood on the right, and put Cavani up top. Go out, attack them with a team that can get goals and get goals early. Make them come onto you because they want to sit back.
I think we've seen when we've killed games off early is obviously when we play our best football. Is just go out there and full out attack like we did with Sociedad, like the first leg against Roma. We need to just have that cockiness and confidence that as a Manchester United player you should have. You should walk onto that pitch saying we are far superior. We should be dominating this and we should be getting loads of goals and killing the game off. And then you can afford to put those extra players in midfield where they're going to bubble wrap that fragile defence, especially if it doesn't have Maguire in there. I don't know what centre-back pairing he's going to go with.
If he's not ready, I think the centre-back pairing that you should go with is the centre-back pairing you should play against Wolves. The two of them have to play each other in the game before that, and I think your back four should be unchanged nearly from the Wolves game to the Europa League game, because your defence nearly needs to stay unchanged. I mean, I've seen that at my club. We've changed right backs too many times, left backs too many times, and centre-back partnerships, we never made one. So once you start chopping and changing, it's where things start getting wrong. So if you can get them just have 90 minutes in their belt next to each other, then it'll go a long way.
But then
it just shows like our partnerships. Like I think the best partnerships of this club is Twanzebe and Lindelof and Bailly Maguire. Like that's the partnerships it should be.
Maguire,
I think that's our best partnership going to the final.
Can I just say as well, I'm not going to go on a rant because I don't want to. It's too late for that kind of shite.
It's 10-9. You're all right.
I haven't even had a drink yet, but I think it pisses me off when people latch on to one mistake in a game. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, yes, I'm going to name drop him again. It's no secret that I love him. Victor Lindelof. He had a good game on Tuesday. It's no secret now. I'm not ashamed of it either.
I can say Lindelof has had a good season.
Exactly.
Yeah, he really had since West Brom. I think West Brom was really poor.
Yeah,
I thought personally.
Yeah,
but since West Brom, he's been really good.
The amount of times he made an interception or a block or a tackle or a header, and the crowd got behind him and cheered him. You can tell that spurs him on. Players like him thrive on being told you're doing a good job. Like you kind of have to baby them a little bit. You have to kind of sit there and say, you're doing really good. Carry on. Just keep doing that. But it's just this mentality that a player makes one mistake and it's shit. Discount everything else they've done for the past 90 minutes or 78 minutes and suddenly they're shit. You need to... Players are going to make mistakes. You can go out and buy Varane. He's going to make a mistake. I can fucking guarantee you that. Everyone makes mistakes. We're not perfect. So I just don't understand this whole mentality of constantly grinding players down until they have no confidence, because you can tell they read what you say about them online, and it's got to affect them. But I agree, Jay, criticism should be fair. You can say someone's had a bad game, but it's when it's the personal attacks and the constant berating of their performances and character, then it's obviously got to have a massive impact.
Not only that, but it's actually going as far as racism, and that's not fair.
I don't understand that. In what world is being racist online or in person anywhere okay? Like what goes through someone's head?
It's because people think they've got so much power behind a keyboard that they think they've got all this power, when in actual fact, people don't forget. Anything you say online, it doesn't matter if you delete a tweet or you post a photo, people see it before it goes the tweet is deleted. They will screenshot your comment. So it does not matter what you say. Even if you put something that isn't offensive or in your context you think it's not at all in that sense, someone could read that and misdirect and think, actually, you're being offensive, you're being racist. And that's what people forget about. And the one thing that annoys me is it's always the same players or the same people that get scapegoated. And hell, I've got a Dan James agenda, but I'll give the guy, I'll give the lad a little bit of positive. I'll give the lad criticism. I will call him a supersonic brain dead knob. I've done that a few times, but there has been games where I have given the guy positivity and somebody thought, like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, well, he's had a decent game. But there's some people that take things way too far. And that, I'm like, you really need to relax just a little bit. Just a little bit. But apparently the best centre-back in the world, apparently the best centre-back in the world's been good, but I've not seen him play since Villa pumped him in the league. So, and I'm pretty sure he made 2 mistakes in that game that led to 2 Villa goals. So there's another bit of knowledge for you.
Apparently, Reese, you
shut up, Trev. I do not. I guarantee if I had a pair like those, I would burn them.
Trevor,
I'm so glad I missed the Wolves game.
Trevor, I understand. I understand that you don't like him, but I don't give a shit. I do. So, I want to quickly move on to
supersonic knob.
Will, I want to quickly move on to Arsenal, and where do you think, like, how do you guys get back to challenging for top 4? Put challenging for leagues aside for now, but how do you get back to challenging for top 4?
Well, based on form, apparently not an awful lot if you judge by Christmas. But if you judge by the eye test, a lot more. That's what I would say. Because if you look,
I think you're
form,
5 years away.
Let's be brutally honest. How do you feel your form has been since Christmas? How do you feel like you've done? Like, what's fucked up is, in that same time, when we played basically the same amount of fixtures, we've scored 1 less goal and conceded 1 more. We've basically done the exact same. Right? Yes, our squad needs quite a big overhaul. We need to get rid of the likes of Lacazette can go, Maitland-Niles can definitely go when he comes back because he ain't good enough. Unless he wants to play right back. That's fine. Right, Aubameyang can go, but I don't think he will go. Plus, he signed a new contract, so there's no chance he's going. So we're dealing with.
He's went from a 25 goal striker a season to a mercenary in 1 year. Like, it's embarrassing.
He scored about 14 to 17 goals. 14 goals, I think, this season. So if he could get 6 goals in his final game, he'll hit the 20 again. But honestly, next season you'll see like Oba, Balogun, and Martinelli will be the strikers. Where I feel like we struggle creating chances. So like we will need that number 10. Smith Rowe has done great, but he'll be the only one. So it's either signing Odegaard or like Buendia. What else we've really struggled on is when I've looked at the team, right? We've had Saka that plays left wing, he's a right winger. Pepe that plays left wing, he's a right winger. Smith Rowe plays left wing, he's a cam. Martinelli plays left wing, he can be a left wing or striker. We have no out and out left winger. We have nobody that can play on that side properly to make that position his own. So thinking away, you don't have the out and out right winger except for Greenwood, and he could be the striker. It's basically the exact same for us on the left. There's obviously we all know the name that I'd love, and everyone will say there's no chance in hell he goes to Arsenal. He might not, but I want to see us at least go for him. Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish, come on. Let's be honest, there's no chance. Everyone says there's no chance. The only way you know there's no chance, he's not going to go to United because you're going to get Sancho, right? Man City are going to be busy with Harry Kane. Chelsea don't need a left winger, right? They don't. They'll have Timo Werner who can play out there, and they'll have Pulisic who can play out there. They're busy with left wingers. So who's that? Leicester, I don't think would go in for him. They have Harvey Barnes. They're fine. The only one is Spurs. If they sell Harry Kane, will pay that 80 million and get Jack Grealish. That's the only other one that
I think City will
Hey,
get it.
we say it this. If the right team comes in with a right offer of 80 million, which Aston Villa will accept, he might go. He might be excited about
You're looking
additional
at them.
challenge. No chance. He doesn't go to United
going to
unless
United.
it's like next season. Marcus Rashford has that
Yeah.
position locked down.
Mm,
And I
yeah,
know Jack
agree.
Grealish may be a slightly better player. They're different players. Rashford suits the United system and is improving year after year.
Mhm.
Would he want to be a number 2? No. Whereas if he stays at Aston Villa for too long, you're going to see another Harry Kane situation. So it's when he wants to jump ship and whether he wants to wait or not. The only thing we can do is offering him that option. And if he rejects us, fine. I will accept if he rejects us. I will accept if we get a fucking offer rejected. Just bloody go for it, because it's the position we need and it's the type of player we need. Other than that, we need a centre midfielder that can bring the ball up and down, like a number 8, where we've obviously been linked to Aouar again, and he's cut price on like 30 million. I think we could go. Perfect, thanks, Keen. I think we could actually go in and get him this year. We were very close last year, but his brother was like, nah, hold out, we can get more money, and then he's stuck, and now look how much they're going to get. He's cut price down on him.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's still quality, we'll see. We definitely need a backup left back because Kieran Tierney is going to get injured.
Yeah. Totally.
So,
I think
but
the
with
comment
that
that
one,
Jared Havertz is spot on as well.
you just pick up like a Ryan Bertrand on a free, unless he ends up going to Leicester. And please don't go to Leicester. Please don't go, because it would be like that's a perfect left back, and the other one that would be out of contract would be like Patrick Van Aanholt, but that one wouldn't be as pleasing. It's like, meh. And we'll need a right back as well.
Yeah.
And if Granit Xhaka leaves, I'd like another midfielder on top of, like, say, Aouar. So, like, Bazuma and or Sanderberg. But I mostly want Bazuma. But if you get Bazuma, then we're stuck in the position that the African Cup of Nations comes in January. Bazuma would be gone. Thomas Partey would be gone. Then what happens with your midfield? So I think we're still kind of screwed next season, no matter how many people we bring in. And it's a bit of a rebuild, but not as screwed as this season, touch wood.
Come on.
The most probably
both of my dogs are in here now. Come here. Do you want to say hello?
The most fucked up thing is, this season we have more points than last season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So it's been a better season.
This is my mum's dog, the old boy. Mwah. You're going to get down. Mwah. Come on then. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. Small. I can actually pick this one up, whereas my big, massive...
I think you need something in there in that midfield. Like there is something in there that Arsenal are lacking. And one thing I will say, I don't know if it's a bit crazy. Could be. You do need someone like who can control a game from the middle. Even if you don't go and get an expensive option, there are options in the league. Ward-Prowse is an option.
Yeah.
You don't have someone who... but if you think about it, though, if you actually think about it, hold on, let me make my point. Let me make my point first. Let me make my point. They need someone who can actually control the game. They could use him from a creative aspect of set pieces. They don't have any threat from a set piece. They've got weak defenders as well. They could potentially use him as like for the corner situation. They've got him from a dead ball. They've got nothing else. They're not going to cough up the money for Aouar. They're not going to cough up the money for Nuhau, which is another option. No, they're not. They realistically won't do it.
They'll get Aouar for West and they'll get Ward-Prowse.
Yeah. To be honest, like Aouar is only costing 30 million. If you're looking at the amount of players we're going to be selling this summer,
he's going to cost 30 million?
Yeah, they've come out and basically said he's only costing like 30 million now. Like he's had a pretty average season.
If so, that is good business.
You see, the thing is as well, we're going to actually be selling plenty of players as well. When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Lacazette will go for, let's even just put it on the down end. If we could get, say, 15 million to 20 million Lacazette, right?
Yeah.
The same amount for Bellerin.
Yeah.
Maitland-Niles can go for, say, 10, 15, right? And that's without even English tax. Joe Willock won't go for under 20, right? You're looking at, that's at least 75 million there. Who else? there's a few other players. Guendouzi will be sold. Torreira will be sold. All of this will build
Definitely.
up, and we'll have made over 100 million based on sales. In what you would
But
hope.
I wouldn't get
Kolasinac
rid of
not
him.
loan.
I wouldn't move him on personally. Willock, I think if he gets another chance at Arsenal, I think he'd be decent for you lot. I genuinely think
he
so.
would
But
be
the rest of the
decent,
players
but I
you've
think
mentioned,
he's gonna want to go.
definitely. The
I
rest
think
of
he's
them
gonna
there, I
want to
would.
be a top man at Newcastle.
Yeah, I get your point there. Like, there are some that should move on. Like, I think Torreira, like, he could have been what you guys needed in the midfield a few years ago, but he just never showed enough in the league. Guendouzi, he's awful. To say it nicely, he is awful.
It's his attitude, mostly.
Yep.
He's young and he's a bit of a nutcase. Yeah.
I rate
Never.
him.
I
I rate
him the player,
Guendouzi.
but
He's a great midfielder.
yeah, he's just a nutcase. Like if he had the right manager that could control him and get him to just focus on his football, like you'd have a serious footballer there. But his attitude problem.
No manager has been able to. He's been under like 3 or 4 different managers that all had the same problem.
It's just a circumstance of football. Like, it happens, but there's a few there that should be doing better, and there's some that deserve at least a chance. I think Willock does deserve an opportunity. Whether he gets it or not, he probably won't. But there are some good young players you've got. I think Martinelli's a very good player. I don't know why he's not getting more games than he deserves. He's actually a decent player. Balogun, I think, is decent. Then Nketiah, that young striker, I don't think he's good enough for you guys. So I think
that's going. Eddie will definitely be sold.
I don't think he's good enough for you guys. But I think definitely in defence you need a left back to compete with Tierney, because he is, like, his injury record isn't good for him. I can say that comfortably. Right back, you need someone to replace Bellerin, because I'm not even going to go there. And you need to sell. You need to sell Leno. You need to bring back Emi Martinez.
I don't know what to think with Leno. He's so hit and miss at times. Emi Martinez is the better goalkeeper, but I'd be a bit upset if he left. But I would also understand it and think you could get better quality out there. But at the same time, he's what I rate as a good goalkeeper. He can have solid performances and he can make mistakes. I kind of rate him along the same lines like Lloris is a good goalkeeper. He can be very, very good, but he can't make mistakes. They're not quite top tier, but they're the next tier down.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's fair.
So that's how you get back into top 4.
Yeah.
We make loads of
After all that.
loads of people. And
5 years down the line, there you go.
Look,
5 years down the line, they're back in the top 4.
Look, to be honest, to do it next year, we just need to have a bit more stability, have a bit more results, and not get 14 points after 14 bloody games.
And Phil Jones, do you want him?
Yeah, I think
I've heard he's knocking about.
If you want to pay us to
material.
take him, if you want to pay us to take him, sure.
I will.
We'll give you
personally
Phil Jones plus car insurance, because you're going to need someone to drive him, and there could be an accident on the way there. Who knows? Like, you'll need something.
Yeah, very, very true. I'm just going to quickly go around the panel as well for. I'm not going to say top 6 final standings, but where do you think? Okay, we'll go with. I'll just fuck it. Just go with top 6 final standings. Amy, what do you reckon? Who's getting? Obviously, we know 1st and 2nd. Who's getting 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th?
I'm going to say
Today.
This is
sometime
bad.
in 2021.
I've got a pub to get to.
Yeah.
This is bad, but I think Liverpool are going to take 3rd, Chelsea 4th,
Hey, sweetie.
Leicester 5th,
West Ham have 6th anyway.
West Ham 6th. Yeah.
Oh, well, no, actually, if Tottenham win, but West Ham will win.
Tottenham aren't winning their final game of the season.
No.
Do you not reckon?
Yeah.
Nah, Leicester will beat them.
Yeah, Leicester will win. Tottenham have gone to the dogs, really.
Yeah,
They're on
definitely.
holiday.
They are. What do you think? Are we all kind of in? Do you all reckon that Liverpool will get 3rd, or do you reckon they'll just scrape through on
No.
4?
No.
Liverpool get 4. Chelsea
Okay.
get 3rd.
I'd just like to say, we're getting Cristan Part 2 on Sunday. Cristan Part 2.
No, we're not. I think we're going to hammer them on Sunday, to be honest. I think that annoyingly they pulled it out one game earlier than they sort of where it would have doomed them. But
I'm trying to be optimistic, Greg.
I think they'll get fourth. Like, they'll have to play some stupid qualifier to try and get in. Like, it'll be fine. But I think Chelsea third, Leicester fifth, West Ham sixth, which is awful. I saw Leicester being in like the top four more than any other team this season.
All season.
In, like 500 and odd days or something. It's like pretty much all season after the second game or something that they've been in. So for them to drop out is quite. But I don't know. Their side isn't quite good enough to be.
Oh my god!
Champions League side yet.
Ian.
Don't do this. Not now.
Is that you?
Nah.
Guys.
Technically, right. Okay. If I make my prediction very quickly, I'll just say City first, United second, obviously. I think Chelsea will scrape third with a win, Liverpool fourth with a win, Leicester fifth, West Ham sixth, Arsenal seventh, Spurs eighth, and Leeds will get ninth ahead of Everton in 10th. And also, if I was because if Everton lose to City,
the fuck?
If Everton lose to City and Leeds win, Leeds go ahead of Everton.
This is 2 goals.
And do you want to know the thing I hope though? I hope that Chelsea finish fifth, we finish seventh, and then Chelsea win the Champions League. Because then I'm pretty sure we actually do get Europa League. Because the FA Cup winners are supposed to get Europa League. So it'll be 6th and 7th.
Oh yeah, of course it will.
Yeah, so it would be.
If that happens, fair fucking play to you.
If that happens, I'm going to take it.
If that happens, fair fucking play to you.
That's the of literally grabbing them by the scruff of the neck and dragging them. Just like, no, you will be in Europe next year.
And to just do it, to beat Tottenham on the final day as well to get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Mental.
Okay.
I can pray.
And on that, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to all the comments tonight. It's been a blast. It's been a bit all over the place, but you know, I think we'll ride with it. We're obviously going to be back next week. I know, Keane, you've got a show on Monday. Is it Europa League final preview? Monday, 8:00.
Yeah, so Monday 8:00, Europa League preview. I'm joined by a very great panel. I am on Monday. I'm joined by Dale O'Donnell from Stretty News. I'm joined by Adam from Adam Matters TV, and also joined by Callum McFadden from Football CFB. We're going to be looking ahead to Manchester United's massive Europa League game. And also next week, on Tuesday, 3 Devils and the Gooners also back for their Europa League final, full detailed preview as well. And London Lowdown season review is also next week. Not next week, the week after. But also, Champions League final preview is next week too on the channel. So next week we are literally stacked.
We've got a busy week. Let me just also try and find the giveaway. Don't forget, after the show on our Twitter page, the Weekly Armchair Kickoff Podcast, we're giving away a jersey from United's treble winning season. Retweet and give the page a follow with the chance of winning. Is that the pin tweet?
Pretty sure.
Similar to this.
No, it's not the pin tweet, but I will pin it to the page now.
Yeah, just go over the Weekly
I'll pin it to the
Armchair
page
Kickoff
right
Podcast.
now. So if you
Yep, and just get entering that as well. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you for all the comments. It's been amazing. We've rambled on for too long now, so I'll let you all get off. Thanks, guys, and make sure you tune in to all the content next week as well. See you later.
Bye.